Now I've just pulled up outside our local plumbers merchants here in Ashton-under-Lyne, City Plumbing, to meet our local sales manager from Worcester Bosch Boilers, Lee Kane, because I'm here to look at the new Worcester Greenstar 1000 combination boiler. So let's get on with it and have a look at this new boiler. So here it is, set up on the stand already for us, and isn't she tiny? So this boiler without its standoff bracket is 395mm wide, 655mm high and 285mm deep. So it makes it a cupboard fit. Now to remove this cover, it's incredibly easy. So there are just two Phillips screws here, one on the left hand side and one on the right hand side. You don't even need to take them all the way out. So once you've undone the two screws, it's just a matter of lifting the cover off. And now we can see inside for the very first time. Now if we take a quick look at the front cover, you can see the front cover is classed as the combustion chamber cover. There is just a seal around the outside and around the centre hole, but there is no sound deadening insulation on this front cover, but it only does 52 decibels anyway. Now let's start at the top and have a look at the flue system and the turret. Now this boiler uses the standard telescopic flue system from Worcester, which is the 60-100, and it has a maximum flue length of 9 meters horizontal and 12 meters vertical. That is the same for the 24 and the 30 kilowatt. Now Lee tells me these are the transit screws in the flue, and the proper screws for the flue come in the fittings pack. So the first thing that jumps out at you is it's a stainless steel heat exchanger, and Worcester don't normally make stainless steel heat exchangers, they're normally aluminium. So let's get this control box dropped down and take a look inside this brand new boiler. So let's have a look at this brand new heat exchanger then. Now if we take a look closely now at what's on this heat exchanger, the first thing you can see on the right hand side is what you see on most of these stainless steel heat exchangers, which is a combined ignition and flame rectification. But if you look on the left hand side of it, it looks like they have a high limit start or a over temperature start actually in the heat exchanger on the front, which I haven't seen on any other boiler with this stainless steel heat exchanger. Now if you look closely where the 10mm nuts are, you'll see they're numbered. 1, and then number 2 is down here. Number 3 now is up at the top. And then number 4 is down at the bottom. So they're actually numbered for taking them on and off, which I've never seen that before either. So once you've taken these 4 nuts off in order, you can then remove the burner cover. And you can see the heat exchanger looks like any other stainless steel heat exchanger on the market. Now you can see the burner is a standard cut burner what comes with this type of heat exchanger, but you notice that that other stat on the left hand side doesn't come through, so it's only doing the temperature of the front of the door. Right next to the heat exchanger we find the 6-litre expansion vessel with the Schreider valve right at the front, so it's easy accessible. Just underneath the heat exchanger is another easy accessible component, and that is the automatic air vent, and I've never seen one as easy as this one to remove. So let's move down from the heat exchanger now and take a look at this water set. So if I look on this right hand side, you can see the pump. So the pump is a low energy ERP modulating pump, which also sorts out your delta T. And just to the right there is the diverter valve, which you can see a lot of manufacturers use. Now just above the pump and just in front of the pump are 2 of the 3 things that I think give this away, saying it's a Worcester, and that is the clip for the return pipe above the pump, and then the pressure gauge here at the front. Now just underneath the diverter valve is something what I think is pretty nifty on this boiler. There is the drain for draining the heat exchanger. And all you do is move this little lever here. And this is where you connect your hose pipe underneath the boiler. Now just above and to the left of the pump you will see the front access pressure relief valve, which looks incredibly easy to remove now, unlike most of their old range of boilers. Right at the very front you can see we've got the Residio Honeywell gas valve, And just to the left of the gas valve is the easily removed condensate trap. And just behind the condensate trap is the other component that makes this feel like a Worcester, and that is the secondary plate heat exchanger, which is simple to remove with just one screw. So let's move on to this control panel. So you can see this cover removes incredibly easy, and we can now see the wiring. So you can see on this left hand side we've got the usual 230 volt connections for this boiler, and on the right hand side you can see we've got weather comp and bus connections. As you can see, this boiler doesn't come with Worcester's plug-in key wireless stat. For controls you can use third-party controls, or you can hardwire the Worcester controls. Now the interface on the front panel is pretty much what you will find on the 2000, 4000 and the 8000 boiler, except it's not colour screen and it doesn't have as many options as the 4000 and the 8000. But you can still modulate this boiler down using this interface to 50% of the maximum heating load. Now let's finish off by looking at the pipe configurations underneath this boiler. So if we start from left to right, you can see right in the left hand corner we have the condensate outlet, then we have the flow pipe, then we have the hot water out connection. Then you can see there's a gap, that's where the gas pipe goes, I'll explain that later. Then there's a cold inlet, then there's a return and the blow off. So you can see the gas connection is here, and you get this offset pipe which then sets you in line with the rest of the pipes. So this is what it looks like when you've got all the valves connected to the boiler. You can see all the pipes are spaced 35mm off the back of the wall to the centre of the pipe, so it makes it easier to use your clips. And finally underneath you can see there are purpose-made wiring glands underneath the boiler to make it so much easier to wire up. And finally, to complete this review, if you want to pipe up the back of this boiler you will need a standoff jig like this one, but they do make pre-made bends for you to help you. Now then, that was my first ever look at the Worcester Greenstar 1000 boiler. What did you think, guys? Put down in the comments down below and let me know exactly what you thought of it. So a couple of other things about this boiler is it's incredibly light. It's 26 kilos, so it's a one-person lift. I know that because I had to lift it on the stand because Lee from Worcester's damaged his hand so he couldn't lift it up. So they are incredibly light. They're a cupboard fit, which is brilliant. Now, this boiler is going to be actually marketed as a budget boiler, because you know how much they are? I was shocked. So these boilers for the 24 kilowatt, you're looking about £510 plus VAT. But obviously you got to buy a flue and a clock and a filter and everything else what goes with it. And the 30 kilowatt one is £560 plus VAT. So I think Baxi Main and Ideal, whichever one your budget boiler is where you live, I think it's called the Esprit where we are, they're going to get a run for the money with this boiler, because in my opinion it looks a really quality well made boiler, like you would expect from Worcester, but not the price. And to go with a stainless steel heat exchanger, for me, that's game changing for me, because I've always not been a fan of aluminium heat exchangers. And then for Worcester to bring out a stainless steel one on a budget boiler, unbelievable. Now there was a few little things I didn't like. I didn't like the way you can't take the side covers off. So if you is in a cupboard, or everything's squashed up at the side of it, yes, you can take everything out of the front, but if you got room left and right, it's always nice to be able to take the side covers off. Now the only thing I could find what would be a real big pain trying to get out from the front would be the flow turbine, but if you took the side off it'd be dead easy to get off. So that's one thing I didn't like about the boiler, but the rest of it, the heat exchanger, the way it came apart, everything inside looks really good. The one screw on the plate, perfect. But let me know, guys, what you think. Are Worcester barking up the wrong tree, or have they finally produced a decent boiler with stainless steel heat exchanger? I'm not saying the 4,000 and the 8,000 are rubbish boilers, but big hefty things, aluminium heat exchangers, ooh. Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you've liked the video, and I'll catch you on the next one, guys. Cheers.